Chicago Bears now, we are going to take a look at some surprise cut candidates for the Bears, and later on in the show, some shout-outs for everyone who DM'd me FGB on Instagram recently. And by the way, subscribe to the channel, daily content here on Chicago Bears Now. Do not miss any of it here on the channel. Today's show is presented by Roan. Go to roan.com/chatsports. Get 20% off with code CHATSPORTS and upgrade your wardrobe today. It's Roan. Go check them out. All right, let's take a look at some Bears cut candidates. Travis Homer is first up here as, Travis Homer is stuck in a crowded running back room. That is just the reality of the situation. Travis Homer had his struggles at Bears minicamp. He really did. And he also is in a crowded room, like I mentioned as well. I mean, you think about drafting Roschon Johnson. That's not great news for Travis Homer. You think about bringing in Deontay Foreman as well. Obviously, Khalil Herbert is still in the mix. I mean, at best, he's RB4. And look, while I'm down on Trestan Ebner, I didn't think he played well as a rookie. He still contributes on special teams, which is what Homer offers the most as well. That's probably who you're competing with for a roster spot. Unless Foreman or, dare I say, Herbert, that would shock me, has just a god-awful training camp in preseason. Like, you're looking at RB4 at best for Travis Homer, and I'd throw Trestan Ebner in there as well. They're going to compete with one another for maybe one of the last roster spots on this team. And, look, there's a scenario where both get cut because 3 running backs and a fullback is already a decent commitment. You're going to have 4 backs and a fullback? I don't know. If neither of these guys show out, I could see both of these players getting cut. Now, who does get cut? Because there's no scenario where both Travis Homer and Trestan Ebner make the team, at least in my opinion. If you think Travis Homer gets cut, type H. If you think Trestan Ebner gets cut, type E. Let me know in the comments section down below. Or think both get cut, type B. Who gets cut, H, E, or both? Get those votes in. All right, next Bears cut candidate here. It is Alex Leatherwood as the Bears offensive lineman who they picked up on the waiver wire after cut down day last year from the Raiders. They moved on from him. And let's be honest, like, what has he shown? What has Alex Leatherwood shown to the Bears that he's got big potential? Former first-round pick. Like, at some point, that fades off, especially when you're on your second team already, entering year 3 of your career. He's got to have a good training camp in preseason, man. Like, the one thing he does provide is he can play tackle and guard. He can play both spots. But if you don't play either of that well, it's like, okay, who cares if you're versatile if you stink at both spots? Like, he had one game last year, I can't remember who it was against, where he held his own when he played, but very small sample size. Like, the next game he played, he was not good. The one thing he's got going for him when you look at this offensive line depth chart is he's got no chance to start, but especially at tackle in particular, that swing tackle job is up for grabs. I mean, it's kind of him and Larry Borum right now. Those are the guys, which is why, keep in mind, I think offensive tackle is a sneaky area where the Bears could add a player. If Leatherwood and or Borum struggle in camp and maybe through the first preseason game, I would not be shocked at all if Chicago added a tackle into the mix. We'll see how that shakes out. But Alex Leatherwood through one season with the Bears, I was not very impressed. Now, he had mono last year, which held him out for a while, but he stunk with the Raiders. He hasn't been that good with the Bears. Like, at some point, you got to prove something, and he really hasn't done that up to this point in time. Today's show is sponsored by Roan. Upgrade your wardrobe today with Roan as they have stepped up to the challenge with their commuter collection, which offers the most comfortable, breathable, and flexible set of products known to man, and here is why. Products for every occasion. Roan's going to get you through the day, whether you have to go to a business meeting, a happy hour, the golf course. They've got clothing for all of it, and that mobility and versatility is very important, and their 4-way stretch fabric keeps you comfortable throughout the day, especially if you're on the move. Looking good has always been easy, but being comfortable while looking good is what Roan strives to do. And what I really like about Roan, machine washable clothing, shirts, pants, all of it. It is machine washable. So go check them out today. It's roan.com/chatsports. Code chatsports to get 20% off your first order. That link will be in the comments and in the description of this video. Kindle Vildor is next up on our Bears cut candidates as look, this is kind of a surprising cut candidates list, right? And I think in his case, it would be a little bit of a surprise. But look, I like Vildor. He's gotten to play quite a bit. He's scrappy. He plays hard. I think as a backup, he's solid. But he kind of is what he is. And he's in the final year of his rookie contract. Like, is he a guy you're bringing back beyond this year? Not to start, he's not. So, like, look, if there's younger guys on this roster that you think are in the ballpark of Vildor in terms of how good they could be, or even if they're slightly behind, like, you may opt to go in that direction. A guy like Josh Blackwell or Jalen Jones, who both got to play last year as undrafted free agents, they're going to be more cheap and cost-controlled as UDFAs moving forward, whereas Kindle Vildor, maybe a team views him as like a guy who can compete for a CB3 role somewhere. So it'd be a bit of a surprise because I think he's a step up on Blackwell and Jones, but those are two players that can also contribute heavily on special teams. Like, I would not be surprised at all if Vildor, if his time was up in Chicago, which is what I'm going to ask you. Is Kindle Vildor's time in Chicago over? Type Y for yes, or you can type in for no. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Before we get to our next cut candidate, I want to shout out everybody who followed me and DM me FGB on Instagram. We got Rich Murphy, Cal Basting, Johnny Bernicki. We've got Trey Moon, George Hallis. He calls himself the real George Hallis. Tom Holler. We got Rob Gertis there, David L. Wilson Scott, Edgar Carmona, Alex Apostletu. Let's see, Joe Pittman here, Grant Russell, Finn Bishop 5, Eric Snare, Jared Luxick, JC Chio, Andy Kaverick, Gabriel Dunbar, Danger, and Sarge. Said I'd give 10 shout-outs, wanted to give 20 because you guys are real ones. Appreciate everyone for following me and DMing me. If you want to follow me, at HGramNFL, we can chop up some Bears football. Okay, how about Equanimeous St. Brown? I've really thought about this one more and more, and I've thought about the wide receiver position a lot. And look, St. Brown earned the Bears' trust last year because he came from that Packers system with Luke Getsy. He knew the offense early on, so that was a plus. And he was the best blocking receiver on the team. So that had value for a team that, look, still wants to run the ball a lot, but especially last year had to lean on that running game. And, you know, I kind of want to explore, could he actually get cut? The reason I think it's possible that Equanimeous St. Brown could get released is, we've talked about this. 4 guys are locks to make the roster at receiver, in my opinion. DJ Moore, Darnell Mooney, Chase Claypool, and Tyler Scott. Now, look, you never know, right? Injuries, training camp, like, things pop up. But, like, assuming those 4 guys are healthy and don't just completely shit the bed, they're going to be on the team. Then you got 3 guys for 2 spots if you keep 6 receivers. Equanimeous St. Brown, Velus Jones Jr., Dante Pettis. Well, you know what Velus Jones and Dante Pettis have that St. Brown doesn't is returnability and overall special teams value. I think St. Brown can play on special teams, but he's never going to be a returner. So, I don't know. What if Velus and Pettis have good camps? Like, you going to keep St. Brown over them? Like, it made sense last year because he played most of the snaps and he was your best blocking wide receiver. Even if he makes his team, he's not going to start. Last year he did. He's not going to this year. So, I could see a scenario where he gets cut and does not make this team. And look, they want any reason to not cut Velus Jones. He was a 3rd-round pick. Now, if he's just awful, he's going to get cut. But they would prefer to keep him. If all things are equal, I bet he would make the team over Equanimeous St. Brown. Next up is Trevis Gipson. And look, you want a true surprise, this would be it. Because, you know, the edge position is thin, and out of the ones you do have, Gibson's probably one of your better ones. So this would be a true surprise. But I think in the scenario where you sign an edge or 2, I think that makes Gipson more expendable than a guy like Dominique Robinson. And here's why. Robinson has 3 more years of team control as a 5th-round draft pick. That's cheap, even if he's a slightly worse player than Gipson. Cheap production, at least a guy that can eat up snaps. Gibson's a free agent after this year. This is the final year of his rookie contract. Like, if they sign an edge or 2, if Dom Rob has a decent camp, like, Gipson could get squeezed out. It's possible. I don't think it's very likely. I think out of the edge rushers you have, outside of maybe DeMarcus Walker, he might be your next best one, him or Rasheem Green. But again, in a scenario where Ryan Poles opts to go sign a veteran pass rusher, or dare I say 2, that makes Gibson's path to getting cut plausible at that point. Not rooting for it. Don't think it's really going to happen, but I think it's at least in the cards, at least a possibility at that point in time. So don't shy away, Bears fans. Name a surprise Bears cut candidate right now. Let's hear it. Who's a surprise name that you guys think could get cut? Let us know down in the comment section below a surprise cut candidate for the Chicago Bears. Appreciate everybody for tuning in to today's episode of Bears Now by Chat Sports. You can follow me on Instagram at HGramNFL for more Bears content there. Shout out to all the real ones who DM me FGB, and we'll see you guys soon.